You know, the media man, Mixed Fan 8643, asked me to do this. And he basically wants to know why Archie Comics, Ian Flynn, or whoever, Tracy Yardlin or whoever, likes to treat Blaze the Cat as a punching bag. But basically, here's what I mean. Here's what I'm talking about. It seems, according to Mixed Fan, it seems every time Blaze is in a story, whether she's a co-star, the focal point, or whatever, she always seems to be the one, she always seems to be treated as one of, well, basically she's treated as a punching bag in his eyes. And it's like, why? Why do you take such a excuse my language, God, excuse my language, Lord, badass character in Blaze the Cat, whose power is that of fire, and can manipulate fire to probably the highest degree ever, is as powerful and as strong equally as Sonic, and yet she's treated in stories that she's involved in, whether as the focal point character or a co-star, she's treated in the eyes of Mixed Fan as a punching bag. Basically, it's like the villain or the villains, all they have to do, basically all they have to do is just knock her out from behind, hit her on the head, splash her with water or something, and she's easily captured. Some examples that he has given. Worlds collide. She's easily captured and turned into a roboticized master. Why? Why do that to a character like her? That's what he wants to know. She's supposed to be the equivalent of Sonic in some ways, female equivalent of Sonic, and yet she's treated like a punching bag. Okay. She's treated, basically she's captured easily and roboticized into a roboticized master easily. Then you have Pirate Plunder Panic, in which she's captured by a rebuilt Metal Sonic, who goes by a different name now. Not once, but several times. Not once, but several times. And yet, Mixed Fan 8643 wants to know why. I can't really say. I mean, you would think a badass character whose main power is fire, can manipulate it in many ways, is the equivalent of Sonic, female equivalent of Sonic when it comes to power and stature and all that. And yet, she's beaten and captured and basically treated like a punching bag. Well, to me, this is the way I look at it. Perhaps the writers... Now, when it comes to Worlds Collide, I can kind of understand where he's coming from. You know, here she should have been able to defeat the intruders with ease, or at least fight them off, to the point that there's no way they can capture her, and she can get away and probably go help Sonic and Worlds Collide. You would think that. But yet, because the story mainly revolves around Sonic, Mega Man, Wily, and Eggman, she's just basically one of the casualties. And it was probably agreed upon between Capcom and Sega, hey, take as many characters as you need, turn them temporarily into roboticized masters, and go from there. Now, as far as Pirate Plunder Panic, yes, that is questionable. Why would they do that? Well, basically, it is a Blaze story, but you got to remember who's also involved. Amy and Cream. Amy and Cream. Mostly, you got Amy in there, who basically some would say is a little higher than Blaze on the Sega Gamecast food chain. A little higher. Basically has a higher position than Blaze on the Sega Gamecast food chain. So, basically, yes, it is a Blaze story because it deals with the soul emeralds and all that, and yes, she goes into Burning Blaze mode at the end. But the thing is, maybe the writer figured, you know what, if we capture her and all this, it's going to make her ascension into Burning Blaze a lot more prevalent, a lot more important. And maybe it will, maybe it won't. But it seemed to be, or maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but that basically seemed to be the possible reason they did this. Now, here's the thing. I'm a fan of Blaze. I became a fan of hers the moment I saw the character, the moment I heard what the character was going to be about, what the powers were. I said, I'm going to like this character, and I did. And, I do agree that if you're going to use a character like her, you're going to put her as one of the focal points in the story, whether it's a Sonic Universe story or a main story in the main comic book. You cannot treat her like a punching bag. You've got to make her equal to Sonic in some ways. Just because you have Amy Rose involved, and with all due respect, because I'm a fan of Amy's as well. I like Amy as well, I do. And I like what they're trying to do with her in the comic, trying to balance her out at times. Between the comic version and the game version, I give them credit on that. But the thing is, if anything, you should make the main focus. You shouldn't make, Blaze a punching bag. You shouldn't make her a weakling. You shouldn't make her be easy to capture and defeat just because, let's say, you have someone like Amy Rose involved in the story. You need to make her the equivalent of Sonic in many ways. You need to make her be able to fight out of the situations and basically be the rescuer of the captured people. In other words, have Amy Rose captured maybe by the Captain Metal or whatever his name is now. Have Marina or Cream captured instead of her. Have her be the savior. But again, you have to probably look at it from a Sega, from the perspective looking at that Sega food chain. And by looking at that Sega food chain, they probably see Amy Rose above Blaze and figure, okay, Blaze will be the focal point, but let's make Amy Rose the one that's not captured. Just saying. But in my opinion, I think that's how they look at it. I think that's why they treat Blaze the way they do. I think it's mainly because they want Blaze, it's mainly because it's sort of like a pyramid kind of deal, kind of a food chain kind of deal. It's like everybody knows that in the animal kingdom, the lion and the lionesses are the top of the food chain. Doesn't matter how big you are, doesn't matter how strong you are, they are the top of the food chain in the animal kingdom. When it comes to the Sega kingdom, if you will, the Sega Sonic kingdom, Sonic's on top, Tails is right next to him at the bottom, Knuckles, Amy, and then there's Blaze. Go figure. Or maybe Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, Amy, and tied at the third position, and then there's Blaze. I'm just saying. Maybe that's how they look at it. It's like she's not at that top portion of the food chain, so let's treat her like this, even though the focal point of the story is going to be on her, and she's going to be the one that saves the day at the end. Just saying. But I do understand where Mixed Fan's coming from, and hopefully he'll understand what I'm trying to say in this video. But let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with the media man, Mixed Fan 8643? Do you think Archie Comics should not treat Blaze like a punching bag and treat her more like she's a of like who she is, basically the badass heroine, the badass princess hero, that heroine that can go out and save people and not be captured as easily as she has been. What do you guys think? Comment down below. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk.